Okay, we're on in 2 Samuel chapter 5, and I'd like to get going with this chapter. The tribes anoint David king over Israel. He takes Zion from the Jebusites, 11 sons born to him. He smites the Philistines. Okay, and this is around, before Christ, around 1048. They're not quite sure when this was. Yeah, okay, so we'll just keep going. All right, then all of the tribes of Israel to David unto Hebron, and spoke, saying, Behold, we are thy bone and thy flesh. How very interesting. When you think about Yeshua, he says, you are my hands, my feet, my mouth, and anyway, not mouth, but you are my hands and my feet. Anyway, okay. So also in the time past, when Saul was king over us, thou was he that layeth out and broughtest in Israel. And the Lord said to thee, Thou shalt feed my people Israel, and thou shalt be captain over Israel. So all of the elders of Israel came to David to Hebron, and King David made a league with them in Hebron before the Lord, and they anointed David king over Israel. And David was 30 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned for 40 years. In Hebron he reigned over Judah 7 years, 6 months, and in Jerusalem he reigned 33 years over all Israel and Judah. And the king and his men went to Jerusalem unto the Jebusites and the inhabitants of the land, which spoke unto David, saying, Except thou take away the blind and the lame, thou shalt not come in hither, thinking David cannot come in hither. Nevertheless, David took the stronghold of Zion, the same is the city of David. And David said on that day, Whosoever getteth up to the gutter, and smiteth the Jebusites, and the lame and the blind that are hated of David's soul, he shall be chief and captain. Wherefore they said, The blind and the lame shall not come into the house. So David dwelt in the fort and called it the city of David, and David built round about from Milo and inward. And David went on and grew great, and the Lord God of hosts was with him. And Hebron king of Tyre sent messengers to David, and the cedar trees, and the carpenters, and the masons, and they built David a house. And David perceived that the Lord had established him king over Israel, and that he had exalted his kingdom for his people Israel's sake. And David took him more concubines and wives out of Jerusalem after he was come from Hebron, and there were yet sons and daughters born to David. And these be the names of those that were born unto him in Jerusalem: Shemuel, Sobab, Nathan, Solomon, Ibahar, also Eishua, and Nepheg, Japiah, Elishama, Eliada, Elipalet. And when the Philistines heard that they had anointed David king over Israel, and all of the Philistines came up to seek David, and David heard of it, and went down to the hold. And and the Philistines also came and spread themselves in the valley of Rephaim. And David inquired of the Lord, saying, Shall I go up to the Philistines? Wilt thou deliver them unto mine hand? And the Lord said unto David, Go up, for I will doubtlessly deliver the Philistines into thy hand. And David came to Baal-perazim, and David smote them there, and said, The Lord had broken forth upon my enemies before me, as the breach of waters. Therefore he called the name of that place Baal-perazim. And they left their images, and David and his men burned them. And the Philistines came up yet again and spread themselves in the valley of Rephaim. And David inquired of the Lord. He said, Thou shalt not go up, but fetch a compass behind them, and come upon them over against the mulberry tree. And let it be, when thou hearest the sound of the going in the tops of the mulberry trees, that thou shalt bestir thyself, and then shall the Lord go out before thee to smite the host of the Philistines. And David did so as the Lord had commanded him, and smote the Philistines from Geba until thou come to Gezer. Okay, and I just want to make something clear. I have a hard time changing the word God to Yahuwah. Sorry. So I don't believe that Yahuwah doesn't allow the lame or the sick or the blind or deaf into his house of worship. Okay, so don't misinterpret that saying, into the lame and the blind that are hated of David's soul, he shall be chief and captain, that section there. Okay, so it doesn't mean that he doesn't want them in his house of worship. Okay, all right, so chapter 6, David fetches the ark from Kirjathjerum on a new cart. Uzzah smitten. David afterwards brings the ark to Zion, Michals' barennes. So again, David gathered together all the chosen men of Israel, 30,000. David arose and went with all the people that were with him from Baal of Judah to bring up from hence the ark of God, whose name is called by the name of the Lord of hosts that dwelt between the cherubims. And they set the ark of God upon a new cart and brought it out of the house of Abinadab, and that was in Gibeah. And Uzzah and Ahio, the sons of Abinadab, drave the new cart, and they brought it out of the house of Abinadab, which was at Gibeah, accompanying the ark of God. And Ahio went before the ark. And David and all the house of Israel played before the Lord on all manner of instruments made of fir wood, even on harps and on psalteries and on timbrels and on cornets and on cymbals. And when they came to Nacon's threshing floor, Uzzah put forth his hand to the ark of God and took hold of it, for the oxen shook it. And the anger of the Lord was kindled against Uzzah, and God smote him there for his error, and he died by the ark of God. Remember, not only the priest that that Yahuwah chose could enter into the sacred, place of God where the ark of the covenant was, the ark of God was, okay? And when Ron Wyatt had discovered where it was, he remembered the story of Uzzah, okay, and him touching the ark, okay, the ark of God, and he didn't want to touch it, when he discovered it, and the angels that were there, the 4 angels, that's his testimony, okay? So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up real quick. All right. And David was displeased because the Lord had made a breach upon Uzzah, and he called the name of the place Perez, Perez Uzzah to this day. It's still named that. Wow, okay. And David was afraid of the Lord that day and said, how shall the ark of the Lord come to me? So David would not remove the ark of the Lord unto him into the city of David, but David carried it aside unto the house of Obed-Edom the Gittite. And the ark of the Lord continued in the house of Obed-Edom the Gittite 3 months, and the Lord blessed Obed-Edom and all of his household. And it was told King David, saying, the Lord hath blessed the house of Obed-Edom and all that pertaineth unto him because of the ark of God. So David went and brought up the ark of God from the house of Obed-Edom to the city of David with gladness. And it was so that when they that bare the ark of the Lord had gone 6 paces, he sacrificed oxen and a fatling. And David danced before the Lord with all of his might, and David was girded with a linen ephod. So David and all of the house of Israel brought up on the ark of the Lord with shouting and with the sound of the trumpet. And as the ark of the Lord came into the city of David, Michal, Saul's daughter, looked through a window and saw King David leaping and dancing before the Lord, and she despised him in her heart. And they brought in the ark of the Lord and set it in his place in the midst of the tabernacle that David had pitched for it. David offered burnt offerings and the peace offerings before the Lord. And as soon as David had made an end of offering and burnt offerings and peace offerings, he blessed the people in the name of the Lord of hosts. And he dwelt among all of the people, even among the whole multitude of Israel, as well to the women as men, and every one a cake of bread, and good piece of flesh, and a flagon of wine. So all the people departed every one to his house. Then David returned to bless his household, and Michal, the daughter of Saul, came out to meet David and said, how glorious was the king of Israel today, who uncovered himself today in the eyes of the handmaidens of his servants, as one of the vain fellows shamelessly uncovered himself. And David said unto Michal, it was before the Lord, which chose me before thy father and before all his house, and appointed me ruler over the people of the Lord of Israel. Therefore I will play before the Lord. And I will yet be more vile than thus, and will be based in mine own sight. And of the maidservants which thou hast spoken of them shall I be had in honor. Therefore Michal, the daughter of Saul, had no child until the day of her death. Okay, that's the end of chapter 6. All right. I love that. I can just envision that whole thing happening and him being so happy and dancing before the Lord. And I think that there's a song too. The sentence goes something, shall I dance before you, Lord? You know, when the songwriter is saying, when I see you face to face. So anyway, I just love that. All right. I hope you have a great day. Take care. Leave me a like, thumbs up, comment when you can. Thank you, Thomas. I appreciate all your comments. Okay. Bye-bye.